wrote Love the Way You Lie, that song only took me about 15 minutes to write. And a month later, it was the #1 song in the world.
Please welcome Skylar Grey.
Wrote one of the biggest songs of the year.
Grammy-nominated singer-songwriter who has written hits for Macklemore, Rihanna, Beyonce, and Eminem.
You've done 10 songs together.
I came out and sang at the Grammys with Dr. Dre and Eminem.
You recently put out a song with Jelly Roll.
I love Jelly Roll. He's the best. I've been on SNL twice with Eminem, and I don't remember what songs we did. So I hit up Marshall, and I was like, hey, can you send this to your friend Ed Sheeran? Back to Celine Dion.
Yeah.
I need to make this work. I need to find a way to make a living in music because it's the only thing I know how to do. Then I went broke, found myself living in a cabin in the woods in Oregon. When I set out on my journey in music, no, I did not plan on writing songs for other artists. But then when they told me Rihanna was cutting it, it was a bittersweet moment because I was like, I love Rihanna, so this is amazing. But there was like a part of me that was just like, oh, like I'm not gonna sing the song I wrote.
Just gonna stand there and watch me burn.
Well, super excited today because we have the one and only Skylar Grey. Skylar, I've wanted to talk to you for a long time now. You are one of the most prolific songwriters of our time, and you've worked on so many incredible songs. You've sang so many incredible songs. But for anyone out there who may not know who you are, what are some of the songs they might know you from?
It's funny you say prolific because I don't feel that way.
How do you feel?
I like get writer's block all the time, and I am in the studio struggling most days. But then occasionally I write one that slips through. Love the Way You Lie, Coming Home, Glorious. I can't remember, but those are a few of the hits, I guess.
Incredible. You said that you get writer's block.
Yeah.
Does that come often still to this day?
Mm-hmm.
What do you do when you get writer's block? Do you have any tricks or tips for when those
I
kinds of things
try to
come up?
just like make a point to try every day, or every few days at least, to try to write a song. And then if it's not coming, I just put it down and walk away and do something else. Like go, hang out with my chickens or something.
Do you come back the same day usually, or do you usually
no.
let it be? Oh, got it.
Yeah, I usually set it down because I just get depressed if I'm beating my head against the wall and nothing's coming. And it's not that I can't write a song. Like, I could sit down and write a song right now, but if I don't love it, if I don't love what I'm doing, to me, that is writer's block. So I have to feel like, wow, this is really good. I'm really proud of this, or this is, super sick and inspiring and feels, special. Otherwise, to me, it's not writing.
I believe like Ed Sheeran had this statement that he said if he starts a song, he has to finish it. Do you believe in that concept, or is it like, if I'm not feeling this, I just want to put this down?
I have thousands of unfinished ideas. Just
like
sitting in a
notebook?
folder.
In a notebook?
No, like in a hard drive, like recording Pro Tools sessions, like thousands.
So you've had a lot of successful songs, but how many songs do you think you had to write until you got your first hit?
It's so funny because I was just talking about this. Overnight success does seem to happen, but it takes however many years to get to that one night, right? Mm-hmm. So like Love the Way You Lie, for example. I had been writing songs for, 25 years. I've done this since I was a little kid. And that song only took me about 15 minutes to write.
The hook?
Yeah.
That's
the hook.
crazy.
Yeah. It just came to me without really trying. And a month later, it was the #1 song in the world. So it felt like an overnight success moment, but it was all those 25 years of writing shitty songs to get to that one.
Yet Love the Way You Lie was, I think, one of the first songs that I remember really connecting with as a kid, hearing it on the radio. Tell me about how that song happened. I know there's probably like so much history to that because like that song itself is one of my favorite stories in music. So in order to get there, I think we may have to start with the previous history of like how you got into music and everything like that and eventually get to it.
Yeah. It's a long journey. So I started performing with my mom when I was 6. I'll just give you like a brief rundown. We had a duo, and then I went solo when I was like 12 or 14.
So you've been doing this for years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, it's not cool to sing with my mom anymore, so I'm going to go solo. And then when I was 17, I dropped out of high school and I moved to LA and pursued a career in music. And then I got my first record deal with Warner Brothers through Linkin Park. And I was going by the name Holly Brooke at the time. So that's my first and middle name.
Okay.
And I had a song with Fort Minor called Where'd You Go? That was a pretty big hit. It was like my first time ever being on a chart. I just sang the hook. And then I went broke and we had a falling out. And there was a blurry period of time there where I was just, struggling. And eventually found myself living in a cabin in the woods in Oregon. Couldn't afford to live in LA anymore, wasn't succeeding. I was stuck in a deal, And so then I went to this cabin in the woods in Oregon, and it was scary at first. My cabin was at the top of a hill that you couldn't drive up to the cabin. You had to hike through the woods. And so if I got home late, I had to be trucking up the hill with a flashlight and rubber boots and looking out for mountain lions. So it was terrifying.
Wow.
And up in the cabin, there was no bathroom. The bathroom was outside. So in the middle of the night, waking up, have to pee, you either go in a pot, on the floor, or you go outside and you brave the woods at night.
Oh, geez.
And so at first it was terrifying. And then 2 weeks in, I started feeling I kind of felt myself become one with nature. And I just felt like I belonged there. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't scared anymore suddenly. And overcoming that fear so quickly showed me that I'm capable of anything I set my mind to, as long as I just push through. So I had lost all my confidence with music and everything. And kind of in that moment, I was like, maybe I can try again. Maybe I can just approach it differently. And so just being out there in the woods, I had no voices, in my head telling me what I should sound like and who I should be artistically. It was just me talking to myself. It wasn't, not voices in my head, voices in my ear. Being in LA, surrounded by opinions and people trying to pull you in a million directions, that was gone. And so I was just alone out there and talking to myself a lot. And during that process, I fell back in love with music. And I rediscovered why I wanted to do it in the first place. Because I'd kind of forgotten. I was completely lost. And getting back in touch with the root of myself and my love for music just gave me a new burst of energy to pursue it again. And at the time, I had nobody left in my corner. I had my lawyer, my manager, my label, they all had left. So I was alone. The only thing I did still have was my publishing deal. And I hadn't spoken to my publishers in years, though. And so I reached out to my publisher out of the blue, and I said, hey, I need to make this work. I need to find a way to make a living in music because it's the only thing I know how to do. In the meantime, I had tried all these weird jobs, teaching gymnastics and working at Barnes & Noble. I actually sold one of my own albums at Barnes & Noble. My first album was
They
Holly
recognized
Brooke.
you when you were
No.
selling? That's
No.
crazy.
I was too embarrassed to say anything, too. I was just yeah, take it. But I tried all these jobs and realized that music was the best option for me. I even played keyboards for another musician on tour as a backup singer and keyboardist.
Yeah.
And then, I came to this point where I realized I wanted to make a living in music and I have to figure it the fuck out. And so I was talking to my publisher about it, and she was like, I'm going to introduce you to this guy we just signed. His name's Alex the Kid. And I met him over email. And the Love the Way You Lie beat was one of the first tracks he sent me to write to.
That's crazy.
And I sent it back within a matter of an hour or something with the hook on it. And then he was the one through his channels and whatever who got it to Eminem, and it blew up.
When you were writing that song, you were writing to a beat?
Mm-hmm.
Was there a difference between like writing to a beat versus how you've been writing that whole point?
I mean, I'd never done it before. I had only ever written to, sitting at a piano or sitting at a guitar. So I'd never written to a beat before. But I mean, it's the same concept.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have as much control over the chord changes, but sometimes limitations are a fun practice. And I found that writing to beats at that time was a fun limitation for me to play with.
What's interesting is you said earlier you were on tour and performing with your mom. So you started out doing music very young.
Yes.
Did you always know that music was going to be what you were going to do, though?
Yeah. Except for when you're a kid and people ask you, what do you want to do when you grow up? And I would never say that. I would say I want to be the president so I can paint the White House pink or something.
That still could be a goal.
And then at one point I wanted to be a plastic surgeon. I don't know why.
In a similar route, I wanted to be an anesthesiologist, so I totally get you on that, and I never understood why.
Yeah. But deep down, I knew music was the path for me.
With Fort Minor and that song, Where'd You Go? Did you expect that song to be a hit?
No. I never expect any of my songs to be hits.
When that song became a hit, were you prepared for it?
No, not at all. I had no idea what I was doing. I was 19 when that song came out or something.
And then it hit number 4 on the Billboard.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden people had these preconceived notions of you.
But you know what's funny is I didn't write that hook. I just sang it. So I had signed to Linkin Park's label, Machine Shop. And Mike had this song that he wanted a female vocal on. And since I was an artist on the label, he's like, come down, sing the song. So I went to the studio, cut the vocal, left, and then, that was a kind of overnight thing too. Just out of the blue, was on the charts. But I never got any royalties or anything from that. So it was $500, and then, I had a record deal with them, and we put out an album, but I didn't have enough to sustain myself, so I went completely broke after that.
If you're watching this, there's a good chance you want to put out music, you already put out music, or know someone who puts out music. And what most people don't know, it was almost impossible to do that back in the day. In fact, Queen had to sell their van just to record their first album. It was impossible to put out music back in the day. And when I wanted to first put out music around 6 years ago, it felt so complicated and expensive, and I didn't know where to start. Well, that was until I found DistroKid. DistroKid is the actual music distribution platform that I've been using for years now. It is seamless, it is easy, it allows me to post my music to every single streaming platform at an annual flat rate. Prices don't change, you don't pay per release, it's just one price that you pay for the year, and you can upload as many songs as you want. There's no gatekeeping, it's just upload and go. And if you're collaborating with other artists, DistroKid makes the process so easy, no more awkward convos, you just split it up based on percentage and it automatically distributes royalties directly. But here's one of the most important things, unlike other distribution platforms, DistroKid takes no percentage of your royalties. So you as an independent artist get to keep 100% of your music royalties. So if and when you're ready to share your music with the world, check out DistroKid. It's had my back for over 6 years now. Head to the description now to check it out for yourself at a discount. And now let's get back to Skylar Grey.
So then you moved to the cabin in the woods, and you're saying that you wrote Love the Way You Lie.
Yeah.
How?
I mean, that was I don't know, maybe a 4-year period between those two things of going broke and then trying to figure myself and my life out, and then going to the cabin, and that being the last step in my process of rebirth.
With that experience of Where'd You Go, did it give you a sense later when Love the Way You Lie came out to be I want to take advantage of this moment now. I want to try to kind of surmount myself as, because all of a sudden did you expect Love the Way You Lie to be your song or go to another artist?
I never set out to write songs for other artists. That was never a goal of mine. So when I wrote Love the Way You Lie, I was expecting to be featured on it. But then when they told me Rihanna was cutting it, it was a bittersweet moment because I was like, I fucking love Rihanna, so this is amazing, and she's huge. But there was like a part of me that was just like, oh, like I'm not gonna sing the song I wrote, you know? Felt a little weird, but yeah.
Even your version is really, special with the verses and then them doing a second version, and then I even heard your version, and then there's just like a lot of vulnerability that comes from you. So
Thank you.
when you have this, huge success with Love the Way You Lie, I am kind of at this place right now with like the industry where I think, not me, but I think the industry and like people are becoming more aware and accepting of songwriters and trying to give credit. Back in the day, it didn't seem like there was as much of a push for that. What did you do to differentiate yourself to be like, Love the Way You Lie is a song I wrote. What am I going to do now at this point?
Well, one thing I did learn from the experience with Where'd You Go was that I felt like with that big moment I had, I didn't really capitalize on it because I wasn't prepared for it. And I don't think I did enough to like follow it up on my own with, doing interviews or releasing more singles or whatever. And so when Love the Way You Lie came out, I made a point to make sure everybody knew I wrote that. Yeah.
And it seemed like the people who were a part of the song were also very supportive of that too, to say that you were the person who wrote it too.
Yeah.
Was awesome.
Everybody was really cool. That whole team is amazing.
Yeah. It's really interesting because even, Eminem and you have gone on to make so many different songs together. It seems like it's over like 15 to 20 at this point.
Yeah, I lost count. I mean, if you count all the ones that we worked on together that, he produced some songs on one of my albums. So if you include all those where he's not necessarily featured, but he produced it or something, we've definitely done something up there between 15 and 20.
To have a collaborator for that long, you have to really, understand each other musically, creatively. What does you and Eminem's relationship look like when you guys are in the studio together making music?
We're not usually in the studio together very much. It's happened a few times, but he lives in Detroit and I live in Napa Valley. So most things happen remotely. So I'll just send him an idea and then we'll, text, and then he'll send, or he doesn't even send me back what he does most of the time.
He just does it.
He's just like, I wrote to it. So you'll hear it when it comes out.
You seem like the kind of person who's very yourself.
Well, thank you. I try to be authentically myself. It's hard in this world to do that, though.
Does M, like when you work with M, does he encourage you to also be yourself versus like maybe other artists who are like maybe try to put you in a box or something like that?
I mean, he's always been really supportive of what I do. He's never tried to change it.
That's great.
Not that it's the same thing at all, but it brings up a thought. When I wrote Glorious for Macklemore, I came down to LA and worked in the studio with him to do that. He had already had the verses written and didn't have a chorus. And so I went and sat at the piano, like knowing the chords, figuring them out. And that's usually how I like to write. Even if I'm writing to a beat, I take the chords to the piano and I sit and play and sing. So anyway, went to the piano, started playing that, but I heard the word glorious in his verse, and I was like, I think the song needs to be called Glorious because that word is so underutilized and cool and unique and powerful. And so we all kind of collaborated together, him and some of the other guys and me, and we wrote this hook. And I was the whole time thinking somebody else was going to cut it, you know? Because at this point, like when I set out on my journey in music, no, I did not plan on writing songs for other artists. But at this point, I had already had cuts with other artists, so it became kind of like part of what I did. And so I was expecting he would go get some gospel singer or something to sing the hook, you know? And I think he even thought he was going to get a gospel singer or some other artist to sing it. And a few weeks later, he reached out and was like, hey, like I've had a couple people cut the song and it's just not as good as yours. And so it's funny because I was like, well, it doesn't really sound like me. Like this kind of gospel, very positive feeling chorus is not something I normally do, you know? And so part of me was like, I don't know if I really want to keep my voice on it, but I also don't want to take it off if he really loves it, you know? So that was one of those moments where I feel like, and of course it's my #1 song on Spotify.
It's almost at 1 billion streams.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
But it's just funny because that to me is not authentic for me. That is kind of like me acting in a sense. So that's why, I don't know why your question about like being authentic or being somebody else or whatever, that it brought up that song, because I don't feel like I'm being me on that one. I feel like I'm trying to write it for somebody else.
Would you say that you as Skylar Grey and you as Holly are two different people?
I would say no. I think Holly is the person I was born as, and Skylar's the person I chose to be.
That's cool.
So it's just kind of like an evolution, and yeah. But I mean, people still call me Holly at home.
Do you prefer one over the other?
No, not really.
What made you pick Skylar Grey?
Because when I lived in this cabin in the woods in Oregon, it was pretty much gray skies all the time, which I love. I've always been obsessed with thunderstorms and tornadoes and just gloomy weather. And so gray came first. I was like, I love the color gray. I just love the lack of color that it represents and the unknown. Because at the time, I was also in a very unknown place in my life. I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't know, you know, if I was going to succeed or fail, or if I was going to end up working at Subway. Like, it was very much a place of, I don't know what the fuck's going on with my life right now. Very unknown, very gray area. And instead of being afraid of it, I just like walked right into that gray and said, bring it on. Whatever the fuck happens, bring it on. And then having the success with Love Though You Lie, it gave me this feeling that as long as you're pushing forward, even if you have no idea what's going on, and you're just moving forward instead of staying stagnant and waiting for things to come to you, you know what I mean? Walking into the unknown is a very important thing to have the balls to do. And it can either, you can walk off a cliff, you know, like imagine yourself standing in a fog and you can't see a foot in front of your face. And you walk, and then you could just fall off a cliff. You could come up to a hungry lion, or you could find a pot of gold. You never know. But if you just stand in one place and you don't move, nothing's going to happen. So this gray became like kind of like a religion for me, like pushing myself into the gray. And then, yeah, Skylar came from just the fact that I loved the gloomy weather and it all kind of, being engulfed in that mood every day in Oregon, while I was going through this kind of reawakening. yeah, it just felt like the right name, Skylar Grey.
If you're a full-time artist, producer, creative, you're probably always on the move, and I completely understand because I am always traveling to do interviews, and I'm constantly living at airports, Airbnbs, and hotels, and I always gotta use the same annoying public Wi-Fi, where all my information is free for anyone to grab. Well, 4 years ago, I was so tired of this, I did some research on VPNs, and I found my favorite VPN, NordVPN. No matter where I am, it works across all devices, and I can connect up to 10 devices, which is great for me because I'm constantly living half of my life on the internet. And on top of that, NordVPN lets you change your location to any one of 118 different countries, which helped me a ton when I wanted to rewatch Prison Break last year when it wasn't available anywhere else. But I could get it on another streaming service if I changed my location to the UK. This is actually true. This actually happened. It even has a feature that protects you from threats. When you're browsing the internet and a sketchy website comes up or all these annoying things that you have to deal with that you don't even realize is there, NordVPN works in the background to block malware phishing schemes. Plus, it's crazy fast and probably the best VPN I've ever used. And honestly, I only want to work with brands that I truly believe in, and NordVPN is one of them. So if you want to try it for yourself, go to nordvpn.com/wall to get a big discount on a 2-year plan plus 4 months free. And there's zero risk because it comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee. So head to the description, nordvpn.com/wall to try it out today. And now let's go behind the wall once again.
So you being in Oregon, getting sent the Love the Way You Lie beat, what was your process? Do you remember like your process to write that song and
Yeah.
tell me how it came about?
I used to work in GarageBand.
Love that.
And so I would load the MP3 into GarageBand. I'd put my headphones on and I'd sing into the mic that's built into the laptop.
Love that.
Yep.
Did you write the lyrics beforehand or did it just come
No.
out with the melody?
Usually when a melody and lyric comes at the same time and it's like good, it's usually the best. Like that's the best work I can do. When I focus too hard, if I think too hard about it,
Yeah.
it's usually not good. So if I come in and I'm like, oh, I have a lyric, I want to try to put it to music, and I'm messing with it a lot, it just doesn't really work. I mean, it can be good, but I feel like the songs that I've had the most luck and success with have been the ones that were almost effortless. It's almost like I didn't write it. It just came
out
from
of you.
like the muses and just threw me, and I channeled it, and like I blacked out.
Did you, well, you said earlier that you never think your songs are going to be hits, but there was like something that was like, I don't need to mess with this anymore. How did you know not to continue working on that song? Was it just like, can't do anything more to this, I'm just going to send it over and that's it?
It's funny you asked that. So when I wrote Love the Way You Lie, it literally just came out of my mouth. I wasn't trying at all, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, what the fuck does love the way you lie mean? This doesn't make any sense. I just wrote that line because it rhymed with cry. Or wait, stand there and hear me cry. Yeah, that's all right because I love the way you lie. And I was like, I think I got to change that last line. And so
Wow.
I sat there for a good minute, like trying to come up with a better last line. And I couldn't. I was just like, well, this one just kind of falls off the tongue. Like
Yeah.
it flows. I don't really know what it means. But I was like, fuck it. I can't come up with anything better, so I'm just going to send it.
I love that. It's like become such an iconic phrase now that
It is.
People
And
are-
it's so weird because to me it was just like confusing. I was like, I don't know what this means.
have you been able to assign meaning to it now, later in your life, as to what you meant?
Yeah.
What do you think it means?
I mean, I think being in a relationship, which, I've been in romantically, but also just, even with the music industry, which I've talked about before, this kind of like push and pull, like 1 minute people love you, the next next minute they don't. And it's kind of like this, love-hate thing going on. But at the end of the day, it's like no matter how much pain somebody causes you or the industry causes me, like I'm still fucking here and I still love it. And I can say that about, you know, relationships I've been in where it's like I knew the person was really bad for me, but fuck, I loved him, you know? So that to me is what that line means. You stay in it even though you know they're like lying or, you know, being abusive or whatever.
So you have this song, Love the Way You Lie. You send it off. A month later, it goes #1, which is crazy. You start kind of like, I guess, reframing who you are, like having a rebirth, I guess you could say, as Skylar Grey. What was the next thought? Was it to stay in Oregon? Was it to move to LA again? What was like your next move at that point that you decided you were going to do in the story?
Well, it was complicated.
Okay.
Because I had already been in the music industry and left.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was worried that people were going to have preconceived notions and judgments of me coming back into the music industry. And I didn't want that. I wanted a completely fresh start. And so that's why I changed my name. That's like the first reason I changed my name was I want to present myself as a completely different artist, songwriter than I was before. And so I actually kept my face shadowed and didn't reveal my, like, who I was for about 6 months after that.
Wow.
I just put up the name Skylar Grey and worked kind of incognito. So anybody who had known me as Holly Brooke, they didn't know that I was the same person as Skylar Grey. And so I didn't straight away move back to LA. I was trying to kind of keep this incognito thing going and I was getting so many phone calls for people to like, they wanted to sign me or write for one of their artists or whatever. It was, my phone was ringing off the hook. I remember I even got a call on like Christmas Eve from a record company wanting to sign me.
Jeez. Was that a good feeling? Like after?
It was definitely. But I was a little jaded at the time. And so I was like, if I sign another deal, it's got to be the right one. Like I'm going to be really picky and make sure that the deal is exactly what I want, you know. And so it took a while. And even when I came out and sang I Need a Doctor at the Grammys with Dr. Dre and Eminem. So Love the Way You Lie came out, I think it was in like July or something of 2010. And then in 2011, the February right after that, is when I came out on stage with Dr. Dre and Eminem and
That's
Rihanna
crazy.
and sang I Need a Doctor. And I feel like that was like with the first reveal of like me. And I remember my Twitter went up like 200,000 followers like within like 5 minutes of my performance. It was crazy. But what was I going to say? I lost my train of thought. What were we talking about?
You brought up I Need a Doctor.
I know, but
And before that,
I was talking about, this happens to me all the time. I was not signed. I was an unsigned artist on stage with them.
that's crazy.
Yeah. So I wanted to wait until things got crazy to, finally sign a deal. And then Interscope offered me this record deal and I was like, I love Interscope. I love the artists that they have. Like, sounds great. But Mercury's in retrograde, so we're not signing anything until it's out. And so I made everybody wait another like month or something.
But you eventually go with Interscope.
Yeah.
Did you put out I Need a Doctor independently too, then?
No, I never put that one out
As a featured
myself.
artist?
I was just featured on it.
But you were independent when that song came out.
Oh. I guess so, but I don't really know. I can't remember how the business went on that side of things. I mean, I don't.
That song's crazy too.
Even if I did put it out independently, which I think I did, it probably got absorbed when I signed my Interscope deal.
That makes sense.
So it's not like I own my, master side of that. Like that was definitely absorbed by Interscope.
So it was Love the Way You Lie, then I Need a Doctor came next.
I think Coming Home was next. No, I don't remember. It's been so long now.
Yeah, it's been.
But it was all in the same year. Coming Home, I Need a Doctor, and Love the Way You Lie.
It's been 14 years since Love the Way You Lie, which is
It's fucking crazy.
I love that song. I love the Way You Lie. That's
Thank
like one of
you.
the few songs that I actually know the verses for, and I don't usually know rap verses very well. But I always know the hooks. Shout out hooks. Hooks are great. What made you want to start writing hooks for
To be honest,
kinds of songs?
Stan. Dido Eminem. I discovered that when I was like 13 or something. And the combination of that ethereal female vocal with rap was just so special and unique to me. And I was like, I want to fucking do that. And so then I did it with Where'd You Go? It was like my first foray into hooks in hip hop. And then I got to work with Eminem himself. Like the reason that I was inspired to do it in the first
That's
place.
crazy.
Yeah.
And then you go on to write and sing I Need a Doctor with Eminem and Dr. Dre. How did that song come about?
So after Love the Way You Lie happened, which we were all in different places in the world when that song was made. There was nobody in the studio together. I was in Oregon. Alex was in New York. Em was in Detroit. Rihanna was in Dublin.
That's crazy.
And so we weren't ever in the same room together. So after that, he was like, I'm working on Dr. Dre's new album, or the one that he's been working on forever, right? And wanted to bring me and Alex to the studio to work with him. And so that was a trip. That was the first time I met Eminem and Dre in the same moment.
That's crazy. Was that nerve-wracking?
Yeah, very.
When did you how was it like working with them? Did you prepare something beforehand? Did you decide, no, I'm gonna go in there?
So Alex and I got together before the session because we were like, we better not come empty-handed.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And so we actually created the I Need a Doctor hook and track before we got there. And then we kind of presented it.
And then your first like foray as Skylar Grey was performing that song.
On the Grammys. And I hadn't performed in like 5 years. That
That's
was my first
crazy.
performance. Yeah.
We were talking earlier about like nerves before performing. How was that before that was happening?
Oh my God. I actually wasn't too nervous for some reason.
Really?
But then, so you know how I don't know if you know this, but the Grammys, there's 2 stages.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't look like it on TV for some reason. I feel like they make it look like it's all one stage, the way they shoot it. But it's like 2 stages, and they go back and forth between the 2 stages. So like a screen will come down and cover the stage that was just performed on, and it'll lift up, and then the other stage is where people perform. And then it happens again. It closes, and then the next one opens, right? So we were behind a screen ready to start the song, which I start the song, right, with the hook. And our in-ear monitors aren't on. And the screen's about to lift, and the song's about to start. And the drummer, everybody was like screaming. The sound guy, the monitor engineer, was up in the like stands right there to our left, and he like wasn't looking at us, so we were all just trying to get his attention, like, hey, like our monitors aren't on. The last fucking second, hits the button, like, wow, the screen is rising. And I'm like, so that made me really nervous because I was like pretty chilling. I was like, okay, I'm going to just nail this. And I psyched myself out of the nerves. And then that happened. And I'm like, of course.
That must have been scary.
It was so scary. It was terrifying. But we,
Do you ever watch yourself back after performances?
I hate it.
Do you ever watch that performance back?
I'm terrible. Yeah. No, I got off the stage and I started crying. I was like, I fucked it up. Like, I suck.
What do you think about it now?
I don't watch it.
Got it.
I don't watch any.
I'm sure it's great.
I don't like to watch any of my performances. I always get too nitpicky. I'm like, that sucks.
Is that the same way when you record songs in the studio, like with takes?
Well, in the studio, you can perfect it. So.
Yeah. How often are you doing like vocal takes of songs?
It depends on the song. It really depends on the song. Like sometimes I want it to feel really raw, and then sometimes I want it to be perfect.
For Love the Way You Lie, you did that directly into the computer microphone?
The first original demo.
That's crazy.
Like the very, very, very first time I recorded it was into the GarageBand. But then I did run Pro Tools at the time too.
But so, GarageBand was what you were comfortable with?
GarageBand is just kind of like my writing tool.
Got it.
It was just kind of like where I put in beats and put on headphones and wrote songs because I would be in a cafe doing that or wherever. But then when something was good, I would go back home and I would record it properly.
Were you writing lyrics in the cafe? Or
yeah.
Were you ever producing in the cafe?
Yeah.
On Pro Tools?
No, just on GarageBand.
GarageBand, got it.
And then I would take everything to my little studio. I set up a little studio. And I just had a vocal chain pretty much in Pro Tools. And then I would record. I had a keyboard too, so I could do like piano vocals.
You mentioned earlier the song Coming Home.
Mm-hmm.
How did that one come about?
So it was another example of somebody reaching out, when I had the success after Love the Way You Lie, being like, I need my Love the Way You Lie. So many people.
Is that what people were saying to you?
Yeah.
I need my love the way. Wow.
I mean, I don't know if that one was exactly said like that, but it happened a lot during that time period. People just wanted a hit.
People still say that to you?
Not as much anymore. But that year, it was a huge song come out of nowhere, and so people were like, "Oh, she's got the hit sauce right now. Like, let's all hit her up." And I put so much pressure on myself because I was like, how do I write a hit every time? Like, it's impossible. It's impossible. Yeah. But I would put that pressure on myself, like, you have to write a hit. And so it was very difficult, and I got really down on myself. But anyway, so that song was an example of somebody just reaching out after my success with Love the Way You Lie, wanting their hit, right? But at the same time, T.I. had reached out, or his crew had reached out about wanting a song as well. Mm. And I actually wrote Coming Home for T.I.
Oh.
Because he was coming out of prison.
Oh.
And the song was about coming home from prison. Then I wrote a song called Castle Walls, and that was supposed to go to Puff. And then I don't really know the backstory on what all happened, but they basically swapped songs.
Got it.
Yeah.
How long did you stay in the cabin in Oregon after the success of Love the Way You Lie?
Not long. I can't remember. I got an apartment in LA. And I felt like I had to be here at a certain point. I just don't remember when it was.
Yeah, so many people in the music industry are in LA. They feel they have to be in LA. You were one of like the...
I left pretty quickly after that. I came back because I was like, oh, I'm popping off right now. I better be in LA so I can grasp all the opportunities. But it wore me down so fast. I got sucked into doing so many writing sessions, which I fucking hate. I hate doing writing sessions with people. All these songs that I had done was like me in the cabin in the woods or me and Alex in New York, but like just the two of us, and we were working together a lot. But most of the things that I wrote like melodically and lyrically were like in my headphones in my garage band. Like even Coming Home and Doctor were done that way. I would take Alex's beat and I'd put it in, I'd be like in my isolated little room and I'd write by myself. So then when I moved back to LA, I got sucked into doing all these sessions with other writers and producers, and I got way too nervous, way too self-conscious. I didn't feel like I could deliver on the spot in front of people. I left so many sessions crying. It was so hard for me because I'm just like an isolated type person. Like I like to be a hermit that way, especially when I'm being creative.
Do you feel that you can be, well, I mean, clearly you have been, but do you feel like anyone can be successful in this industry without being in LA?
Absolutely. I think I'm proof of that.
What's your suggestion in order to like be successful without being in LA?
I don't know. I mean, the options are a lot more than a long time ago before internet. Like right now with the internet and social media and everything, I feel like it's anybody's game. Like you can be anywhere and just put out music and have it pop off without even being here. But back in the day, that wasn't the case, you know? It was harder to be remote.
It seems like the internet has like changed the game for music marketing.
It has, and I also think COVID made people realize they were more capable of doing stuff at home. So, I don't know. I think people are doing that a lot more now.
You also have gotten very much into now, from when I was like researching more of your story, producing and like making beats and everything like that.
Yeah, I don't like doing that.
Why do you, but you have done in the past?
Yeah. So I'm lyric melody driven.
Okay.
And I like somebody else to handle the engineering and the production because I don't want to think about a fucking snare sound or like if there's a technical difficulty or bouncing stems or like I don't want to have to think about that because I want all my focus to be on lyric and melody. But because I choose to be so isolated, it's kind of like I had to learn how to engineer and produce out of necessity to a degree. You know, I can get it to a certain point and then I'm like, okay, somebody else come in and make, spruce this up. But I prefer not to have to do that. But at the same time, there's value in knowing how to do it, even when I do work with another producer, because I can at least take my vision as far as possible. Mm-hmm. Whereas when you're just trying to describe it with words, like, hey, can you make it sound like blah, 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 and then they do what they think they interpreted you said as, and it's like, what the fuck is this? So like being able to push it as far as possible so people are like, oh, I get what you're trying to do. That's an important skill, I think, to have. So I'm glad I have it and I'm glad I'm able to do it, but I prefer not to produce or engineer. Like I engineer myself. I engineer my vocals and stuff, but like when there's another artist in the room or something, like me engineering them is really stressful. I don't like that. I've done it multiple times and it's really stressful.
Have you had any, at the same time, have you had any like times where like you've gotten to produce for other artists too?
Yeah. I definitely like produced a few songs that I have with Eminem.
Well, that's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, you actually more recently had another song drop with Eminem.
Yeah.
Temporary.
Yeah.
Tell me about that one. That seemed like a very personal song.
Yeah. So Temporary, I wrote that hook in like, I guess it was last year, summer of 2023. Yeah. And I had writer's block really bad all of 23. Pretty much all of 23. I didn't write anything worth a shit. I would try and I would write stuff, but nothing I liked. And then one day I was like, fuck it. I'm just going to sit here until I write something good. And I spent an entire day trying to write anything good. Just like sitting at the piano all day long, morning till night. Like, and then I hit a certain point where I was just in tears. I was like, fuck this. I suck. I can't write songs anymore. I give up. Which this happens to me a lot. But this was like a really bad episode of me hitting that point where I'm just like, I'm fucking done. I suck. And Elliot, my partner, was like, hey, babe, the other night you recorded this piano riff on my phone in my voice notes. You want to just check it out? I was like, fuck it, send it to me. And he sent me the piano chord riff to Temporary that I had recorded on his phone.
That's crazy.
And I was like, damn, this is actually pretty cool. And so I literally, that piano that I recorded in the voice note is the piano on the song. That was my original playing of that piano riff, ended up being the piano. I never replayed it. So I loaded that voice note into Pro Tools and I started singing ideas over it. And I literally was just singing about how I felt in that moment. I was like, I know I'm going to get through this. I always do. I always end up writing something, but it sucks when I hit this wall where I feel like I suck and I reach the point of tears and I'm crying. Like, these tears are temporary. I'm going to get through it. And so that's how I wrote that hook. And then I was like, this kind of sounds like an Ed Sheeran song or something. So I hit up Marshall and I was like, hey, can you send this to your friend Ed Sheeran? And he was like, yeah, I got you, girl. And then he was like, wait, no, I'm keeping this. And then he turned it into this beautiful masterpiece of, you know, him talking to his daughter from the grave, basically.
Such a
and
beautiful song.
the place that he took the hook was something I never imagined happening with it. And I'm so satisfied and grateful. It's beautiful. It's stunning. It made the whole world cry.
100%.
Yeah.
Incredible story. I guess I have a similar thing with like projects that I work on where it's like, I don't know if I don't even know if I can ever like do this again or like repeat this. So I get where you're coming from. When those moments happen and songs come out, is that a reminder of, no, I can keep doing this? Or is it more just like that self-doubt in the moment?
Wait,
When those moments come up where like, I can't do this anymore, I can't write songs.
Yeah.
It seems like that's come up several times in your story.
yeah.
How
It
do you
happens all the
bounce
time.
back from that?
The only time I bounce back from it is when I finally write a song like Temper. I'm like, this is fucking good. It gives me the confidence to come back and try again. But I guess even when I went through like a year-long writer's block, I still did keep coming back to it, you know? Sometimes it takes me going away completely from music, though. I'll take months off where I won't even go in the studio. I won't even try to write.
Do you feel guilty when you don't write?
Yes. Yeah, I do. I carry a lot of shame with me when I don't accomplish something or don't write something. Do you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. I
Something
feel like,
try
oh,
to-
I'm just being lazy or...
Yeah.
But I'm not being lazy because I try and it's all shitty. So what else can I do, you know? So I just try to, in those moments, focus my energy on something else. Like earlier this year, I had a pretty bad writer's block still. And I decided to like remodel a room in my house. And I put all my creative energy towards
That's
that.
sick.
Like picking out carpets and bed and hardware and light fixtures.
How'd the room turn out?
Beautiful. Yeah. And then I came out of that being like, okay, I've spent enough time away from music. I need to dip my toe back in and see where I'm at. And then I started feeling inspired again, and I wrote some songs. Right now, I'm kind of like somewhere in between where I don't have full-on writer's block. I'm definitely inspired right now, but it's not like a crazy wave of inspiration.
Even with writer's block, you're still writing though, right? Or is writer's block like, I can't write anymore?
Well, I always thought the term writer's block meant like you go in to write and you just literally don't write anything, right? But that's not what it is, at least not for me.
Okay.
I can go write a contrived piece of shit song any day of the week. But what's the point? You know? I have no desire to do that. I only want to write stuff that really makes me feel something. And so I wait for those moments and I try every day to get something like that and try. And then once in a while, I get a little gem.
Yeah, you have so many gems. You have so many great songs that like connected with the world, connected with me. One of those songs is one of the ones you talked about earlier, Macklemore, Glorious. Even like Clarity by Zedd. And early on, I made a video about you in 2022.
Yep.
And I was like, everyone needs to go check out Skylar Grey. And then you duetted it and like blew up, and then you gained.
That was so cool.
That's so sick.
What you did, because you were shining a light on songwriters and people that were usually, you know, kind of overshadowed. And it was just so cool that you were doing that. And
I appreciate that.
yeah, and it's hard for me to be on social media. Like, I don't know what to do. I feel like an idiot. Like, I don't talk to the camera well. I feel like it's not me.
I got you.
I like record a video. I'm like, that's not fucking me. That's not what I sound like. That's not what I look like.
I do really like your stories. And that,
But what I was going to say is that you doing that gave me an opportunity by me duetting that and just watching you tell my story for me. I was like, oh, I can do this type of social media. You did all the work and I was just like watching it.
I love it. Yeah, it was super awesome to see like so many people connect with it. And then the second one I made was about Clarity and like how that song happened and everything like that. And then you went on and then duetted that one too, which was awesome to see. But I'd love to hear like on your perspective how that song came about.
Clarity is an interesting one. So to be completely honest with you, I didn't have that much to do with it. I got a call or an email or something from somebody on Zedd's team. I actually don't really remember if it was him or one of his team members or something. But he had this song that he wanted me to sing, and it was unfinished, and that was Clarity. And so it was unfinished, but the chorus was pretty much there. And I think just the verses needed to be finished or something. This was in 2012, I think. So this is, again, a long time ago.
After Love the Way You Lie.
So the main writer of the song was Matthew Coma, and he's amazing, super talented. But I had actually been reached out to sing the song. And I don't remember if I was at home when I worked on the verses. I think I was. Anyway, we finished the writing of it, and then I flew to LA and I cut the vocal, and Zedd didn't like it. He didn't like my vocal, so I ended up getting replaced, and that was a hard one to swallow. That was like a big kick in the gut. But he wasn't there during the session, Zedd himself. And I feel like maybe if he was there, we could have gotten the vocal out of me that he was looking for.
Yeah, that is interesting.
Yeah, and I thought that looking back, but
if you wanted something specific, I would assume like being there would be.
Yeah. But I mean, this happens a lot in the industry. Like people try a lot of different vocalists on a song until they find the right one. I just had never experienced that before.
Yeah, he has done that. I mean, Zedd has one of the coolest house tours on YouTube I've ever seen. He seems like a great guy. Don't know him. Would love to meet him one day. But even like, I remember doing a video on The Middle and how it had like 14 different singers until they landed on Maren Morris, which is just crazy. And then like most of the demos are out there if you ever want to, like if people out there ever want to hear it. So
that's cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
It doesn't make me feel so bad then.
Yeah, some of the people that were supposed to be on The Middle were like BB Rexa, Demi Lovato, Camila Cabello.
Wow.
A lot of really like talented singers and everything like
Yeah.
that. They landed on a country artist, which is crazy. Clarity is such a fun song. It's such a great song, and to hear the story is really cool. In terms of when you were talking about Macklemore Glorious, you kind of touched on it a bit, but in terms of that song, it seemed like a song that has like, would you say that song's helped you a lot as an artist, like get your artistry out there, get your name out there a bit more?
I mean, every song that I've done has been a stepping stone to that, to like more exposure. And I mean, Glorious being at the top of my Spotify channel tells you something, you know? It's just, again, what I was talking about earlier, where it doesn't necessarily feel like me. That's the only thing about that song. Like, I'm grateful for the opportunity. I love the song. I guess it's more of a Spotify problem, to be honest. I hate that when you go to somebody's page, the top 5 songs that show up there are just their top most listened to, but they're not necessarily the top 5 that the artist wants you to hear.
That's interesting. And
I think it would be really cool. I mean, they do the artist pick thing, but whenever I'm looking at an artist and I Spotify search them, I listen to their top 5 songs.
Same.
But what if that's not what they want to represent them? And you're not finding the stuff that they really want you to hear. It's like you've lost control as the artist in Spotify in that way, you know? It's like they should have another chart that's like, these are the artists' pick songs, and then here's the top 5 most streamed after that.
And they even do like top 5 most streamed in that moment versus like not top 5 most streamed. So like on top of it, they could have.
Well, I think they do that. It's like it's a moving scale based on like, I don't know if it's how many listens they had in the past month or week or whatever, but it's not all time, I don't think.
Yeah.
What's at the top. Yeah.
I do think that would be an interesting thing, because I think artists are so represented by like
everybody gets put in a box based on a song that was super successful. And, you know, as an artist, that can be really frustrating because you're trying to make more art and show the world your new shit. And, you know, like I put out a song myself right now when I don't have a feature or it's not a collaboration with some bigger name, because I already have, like, all my top songs are huge collaborations. But if I put out a solo song of my own that I want everyone to hear, it doesn't show up there. So, like, who's going to even stumble upon it? Unless they follow me on social media or, like, find it some other way. But they're not going to necessarily find it that way.
If a song goes viral and then all of a sudden...
Yeah, and so that frustrates me.
You talked earlier about like the song Glorious and that gospel sense. Did you kind of go into the same mindset when you were looking to write Walk on Water?
No.
How did that one come about?
So Walk on Water, I was going through a rough patch when I wrote that song. So a lot of like, I feel like I'm purposefully like blocking out a lot of memories from that time period. And so I'm having a hard time recalling how that one came to be. But what I do remember about it was that Pink was interested in cutting it.
Really?
In cutting Walk on Water before I had sent it to M, but I hadn't gotten the yes, I want it yet from him. And then in the meantime, I had gotten a yes, I want it from Pink, and then I got the yes, I want it from Eminem after that. And so I was like, well, I sent it to him first. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was going to say, how do you make those decisions? Like, because there must have been like multiple times when.
Yeah, I mean, it's partially too, it's like, I don't like to like let people down. It's really hard. I feel really bad when I'm like, you know, pulling a song back away from somebody. And I didn't want to do that to Pink, but at the same time, I was like, well, I sent it to him first. So I kind of like, that's how I gauge it. I'm like, he was the first one, you know, that I sent it to. Just because he didn't get back to me right away. I just feel, and, you know, I'm kind of loyal to him because He's done a lot for me in my career. So, but then Beyonce cut that one.
Yeah, incredible singer.
Yeah, but then I was the one who ended up performing it on the TV shows and on tour and stuff. So that was fun.
Which TV shows?
I think we did the EMAs.
Nice.
And I don't know if we did that one on SNL.
That's sick.
I can't remember what ones we did on SNL. I've been on SNL twice with Eminem, and I don't remember what songs we did.
Can always go back and watch them.
Oh my God. I'm getting so old.
I mean, you've done so much in your career.
Maybe that's it. I just have too many
You
memories.
have too many thoughts and too many things to do. Even one of the ones more recently is you just, I don't know if it's just, but you recently put out a song with Jelly Roll.
Yeah.
And wrote with him.
Yeah.
How was that?
That was great. So I love Jelly Roll. He's the best. Like as a person, he's the best. I think what connected us was the fact that we were both on Eminem's album. And I think the first time we connected was on Instagram. And then we had a lot of mutual friends, and somebody connected us on text, and then he sent me this song that he was just like, hey, I love this song, the story in there, but I don't love the hook. Can you try writing a new hook for it? And his album was due within like, I don't know, a few days.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was a quick turnaround.
Yeah.
To get it on the album. If I hadn't nailed it, they wouldn't have made it, you know? But so I took the song into the studio, and I spent like a whole day trying ideas, and had some cool stuff. It was interesting, but it wasn't like, fuck yeah, you know? So I went to dinner, had a few cocktails, came home, got really fucking high. And then I said, okay, I'm going to reapproach the song really high and see what happens. And out of nowhere, it was like similar to like Love the Way You Lie, the way I wrote that one so fast, where I didn't even feel like I wrote it. It just kind of came through me. And that's what happened. Sometimes weed does that for me. It opens up the channel to my muses, and instead of me working and overthinking, it just lets it flow in. And that's what happened on that one.
Wow.
And then I sent it to him. And well, first of all, I texted Elliot. I was like, get up here, listen to this. If Jelly Roll doesn't love this, he's fucking crazy. So I do have those moments of like extreme confidence in the studio. I'm like, this is fucking good. You know, they're very few and far between moments, but they happen. And so Elliot came up, he heard it, was like, this is amazing, send it. And I sent it to Jelly, and he was like, sold, let's go. It was on the album, came out a week or two later, yeah.
Was that not a lot of pressure though? Like to be like, my album's due in a couple days, I need a hook for this?
It's kind of funny because I think that's what actually helped me write it, having that added pressure. You know?
So when there's no pressure, is it even more difficult to write songs then? Okay.
I think having the pressure forces me to just figure it the fuck out. Whereas when I'm just, you know, working against my own schedule and idea of what I think it should be, like, it could go on forever. I can just keep pushing things off, and then I don't put that pressure on myself. So maybe that's part of my problem with writer's block. Maybe I need to be like, put deadlines or something.
Set deadlines. Yeah, that's something I have a problem too. Like if it's just for me and I don't have a deadline, then I tend to like push things off.
Yeah.
Versus like if it's like, no, this needs to be out by this time.
And I have a desire to please people. So when somebody else is involved and they're asking for something, I'm like, oh, I really want to do something great for them. But when it's just me,
completely
I don't treat myself that way. And so there's that too.
But you've also like put out a ton of projects yourself and a ton of like things now as like an independent artist.
Mm-hmm.
Have you set deadlines for yourself in order to make sure that they come out?
There's a bug in front of my face. I hope you got me going cross-eyed on that.
We'll have to watch it back and then see.
Say that again?
Have you set deadlines for yourself with all like your independent songs, all your own songs as well, like to add that pressure to make sure that they're out and everything?
I mean, I guess the only deadlines I've set for myself are when I pick a date on the calendar and I'm like, I'm dropping this song this day. So now I need to work backwards from that. But I already have the song. So I've never really set deadlines as far as getting like a bunch of songs done or whatever for an album. Like I've never set a deadline for myself that way. I should, maybe.
Do you think it would help?
Possibly. It's worth a shot.
If people please, like if you want to please others, I always wondered like it doesn't work for me often, but I've never like really tried it. The idea of like pleasing yourself in that way.
It's worth a shot. I'm gonna try it.
Let me know how it goes.
Okay.
I'll also do it. In terms of when you were talking about that earlier with Walk on Water and Pink being interested in the song, does that happen often where like you'll send a song out to an artist, they won't really respond, you'll send it out to others, and then multiple people will want a song? Or is that like doesn't happen as much as one would think? Because there's like multiple stories I've heard from people.
It does happen a lot, I feel like. Because, you know, we're songwriters, we're trying to make a living, we're trying to win, and you know, if we send it to multiple people, and there's often, if it's a good song, there's often a fight about it. Not a fight, but like, you have to pick sides or pick who it goes to.
Are there any other songs where like where that's happened?
Well, earlier when I was talking about Coming Home and Castle Walls, I believe there was a bit of a argument about that because Puff wanted both songs.
Wow.
And yeah, I don't really remember how it all went down, but they ended up swapping. And I actually think I had to end up writing another song for Puff so that he had two to like make up for it. The fact that Castle Walls went to T.I. But then he ended up not putting that second one out. But at least it like calmed everything down.
You've been very successful in music. You've gone through so much in your career. What's a piece of advice you have for anyone out there who wants to become an artist, a songwriter, producer, wants to get involved as a creative?
I think just being like really staying true to yourself and on a creative level is so important, especially as an artist. It's one thing to be a songwriter. I never wanted to be a songwriter for other people. I don't enjoy doing that. But some people, that's what they do and that's what they love. But if you're for artists, like I feel like a lot of mistakes I made was when I was trying to do it kind of for other people or for the validation of other people. Labels or whatever, you know, trying to bring them a hit or, I don't know, changing my style because I thought that's what they wanted but I ended up just, sometimes I put out songs that just felt completely inauthentic to me. Mm-hmm. And it was really confusing, I think, for a lot of listeners. They didn't know who I was or what to grasp onto. And so my brand, I feel like as an artist, has been kind of confusing. And I don't like that. So I highly recommend to any up-and-coming artists to really stay true to yourself creatively, follow your heart, what feels good to you. Like really focus on your emotions when you listen to your songs and how that feels versus trying to impress somebody or trying to do something because, you know, that's what they're asking for. Yeah, that would be my advice. Because all my favorite artists, as a listener, like as a fan of music, they're all so unique and so authentic.
Yeah.
I'm never a huge fan of something when it's like, okay, clearly they're copying so-and-so, or, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
When you can like hear the direct influence, or everybody's got influences. Everybody steals from other artists.
Yeah.
It's like part of making art. But when you can like directly hear like, oh, they, you know, stole this, or this sounds like so-and-so, or she's trying to sound like that person, and it doesn't feel authentic and unique and special to that artist, I'm just like not interested. And I feel like I've done that a lot, you know? And so that's where that's coming from.
Who are some of your influences that have inspired you as an artist?
I mean, it's all over the map. My influences are so bizarre. I started out, you know, singing with my mom folk music, but she was a Celtic harpist too. And so I got really into like Celtic music.
Oh, wow.
And then my dad was in a barbershop quartet, and I loved all the harmonies, the crazy, clashy, like dissonant harmonies and stuff they would do. I got super into that. And then, you know, my sister was a little bit older than me, so and it was the CD era, so she was always getting new CDs, and then I would like steal them and play them. And so she was listening to stuff like Nirvana and Smashing Pumpkins and Fiona Apple, you know, the great 90s artists. But then, you know, I loved Spice Girls, and I actually was Scary Spice for Halloween one year. And Backstreet Boys, and then as I got older, I got really in, like in high school, I got really into Eminem and Radiohead, like
At the same time?
yeah, pretty much. So, I love authentic music. You know, I love good music. I mean, even the Spice Girls, they have some amazing songs. They're just very, very polished pop songs, you know, but really catchy melodies. And so I don't know, my influences are all over the place.
Yeah, it seems like it's all over the map. Like I could see like Broadway in there.
Oh yeah, you know, I did musical theater growing up. I did like 12 musicals as a kid.
Which ones?
Let's see, Into the Woods, Guys and Dolls. I can't even remember.
I'm trying to see if we, because I also
What'd
did
you
music
do?
theater as a kid.
What did you do? Because I don't remember all of mine.
I played Give Rosh in Les Mis, like the little kid.
Nice. I never was in Les Mis.
I was in The Wizard of Oz as the wizard.
Dope.
I was the narrator in Joseph.
Nice. So none of these are crossover. I did Sandy in Grease.
Yeah, I was Eugene in Greece.
Okay, there we go. There's our
We got
crossover.
one.
And then, what was that one? Anyway, I'm sure we have more crossover. I just can't remember everything that I did.
You've done a lot, including write a song for one of the like best singers of all time, Celine Dion.
Oh, I forgot about that.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That must have been like incredible.
That was a crazy experience. That was really crazy.
Why?
Because, again, when I was a kid, like listening to my sister's CDs, alongside her Nirvana was a Celine Dion CD. And I got obsessed with Celine Dion. It was also Titanic era, you know. So, actually, I sang that song at my school, the Titanic song.
Yeah.
We had the end of the year, like, field days competition. I think that's what it was called, where all the classes would compete against each other with, like, sports and all these different things. And we were a tie between, it was between 8th, 7th, and 6th grade. I was in 6th grade. And the 8th grade and the 6th grade tied. And so they were like, how are we going to break the tie? We're going to have a singing competition. And so out of nowhere, they had the singing competition. And so my whole class was like, Holly, 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 you got to do it. And so I got up there and I sang Titanic.
Oh, my gosh.
And I was so nervous. And I sang it. And then this is kind of fucked up. This kind of fucked me up, actually.
Okay.
The guy came out and he was like, 6th grade wins. And then he goes back on, actually, it's just going to be a tie because she's a professional singer. So I won for my class, and then my win got taken away from me.
Wow.
And I was like, what the fuck? Like, as a 6th grader, you're just like, I don't know.
Because she's a wow. Okay.
Yeah. It really was weird. But anyways, back to Celine Dion.
Yeah.
I love her. She's amazing. And I can't remember. Oh, so Elliot, my partner I've been with for like 8 years now, I think he was the one who was like, hey, looks like Celine, like he saw something in a tablet. I don't even think it was true. It was like some stupid tablet story where Celine Dion was like in love again with some younger guy. And he showed me that just kind of like on a whim. And I was like, damn, I'd love to write a song for her. And he was like, we need to write a song for her about falling in love again. So it was kind of like his idea. And then I had this show in Montauk, upstate New York, and it was a long way from the airport, like a 2-hour drive or something that we had to Uber. And I did my show, and then on the way back from, like in the car, in the Uber, on the way from Montauk to JFK, I had this keyboard like this size, like a little shitty and Casio. And Elliot and I just sat in the backseat of the Uber and wrote that song on this Casio for this 2-hour car ride. Because we were inspired. We were thinking about, Celine Dion's like, we didn't get reached out to write a song for Celine Dion. It wasn't like she's looking for a song. We were just like, oh, she needs a song about falling in love again. And so we sat in the back of this Uber. We wrote this song. We get home, we record it, and then I'm like, okay, how do I get this song to Celine Dion?
Yeah, that's crazy.
And so I sent it to my publisher, and she got it to them. And within like a matter of days, it was like, yeah, she wants to cut the song.
That's incredible.
But it wasn't like, oh, she's looking for songs, like send songs.
No, you guys like basically manifested
Yeah,
that.
completely.
Like,
Out of nowhere. We just got inspired by a tabloid story that wasn't even true and wrote this song.
Did you ever get to meet her?
Yeah, so we went to meet her when she was doing her Vegas thing.
Okay.
Went to see the show. I cried and met her backstage, and she didn't even say hi to me. She started singing the song to me. Like, walked up to me just singing the song we wrote for her. And I think she even fucked up some of the lyrics when she was singing it, and Elliot was like correcting her, and then he was like, what the fuck? I just corrected Celine Dion? Like, who am I? It was surreal.
This is the first time you meet her. She comes up to you and she starts singing the song that you wrote for her.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
She was a doll. So sweet.
If you've ever resonated with the stories, videos, mission of Behind the Wall and want to help support us further, then this message is for you. If you've ever wanted to rep Behind the Wall, well, we are launching merch to the public. I started this series to shine a light on the people and stories behind music, movies, and media, but it was also to build the platform I wish I had when I first started being a creative. And my hope with Behind the Wall is to inspire the next generation. And now, for the first time ever again, we have launched merch that you could check out. But I've been wearing this merch for years. I wear this hoodie. This is my Behind the Wall interview hoodie. This has been the hoodie that's been across from so many stories, from so many incredible artists, songwriters, producers. This is the day one hat. This is the first Behind the Wall merch item that has ever been made. 4 years ago, I started wearing this hat. It's been my thinking cap. And this is the mug that I've been drinking coffee out of, as well as hot chocolate at night. Where are we going? Behind the Wall. And this jacket is my favorite piece of clothing I've ever owned. I've worn it for some of the most important days of my entire life. I wore it for the Marshmello interview. I wore it to the Grammys. And I also wore it when one of the biggest dreams of my entire life came true. And that video is officially coming soon. But first, I wasn't looking to put out just merch. I wanted to create something that means something. Something that says you create things that matter to you. You care about the process. You care about building something real. Whether you make music, art, podcasts, or videos, videos and have ever wanted to support what we do here at Behind the Wall, this is the perfect way to do it. So please check out Behind the Wall's first ever live merch for you all in the description below. And I can't wait to continue to go behind the wall with you all.
You've been continuously building up your catalog again for songs.
Yeah.
One of the, actually, I guess you could technically call it 2 songs. You've been very involved in Venom, like the franchise, for Venom 2, and then even this recent one. How did that all come about?
It actually happened through a friend of mine, Ollie. He sent, I guess, Sony was looking for an end title for Venom 2, and he sent this hook of mine that had been sitting in my Dropbox folder of songs that just sit there for 5 years.
How many songs are in the Dropbox folder?
Thousands.
How much space is that in
I don't
Dropbox?
know. It's just crazy. But he had a select few that were like his favorites.
Okay.
And so that one was one of them, and he was holding it. And then he sent it to Sony, and they loved it. But it was just a hook and a track. And they were like, let's get some rappers on here. And so we got M, because he was already he did the end title for the first Venom movie. So then he was like, it's kind of part of the family because we work together a lot. So got him. Who else is on the song? Oh, Mozzie, who I hadn't heard of, but now I'm obsessed with. I love his delivery and the tone of his voice. He's so great. Anyway, Polo G, Mozzie, and Eminem. And that came out with the last movie. And then this most recent movie, they reached out to keep me involved and put me on the score. So I worked with Dan Deacon, a score composer, and he would just send me music with, I did things from whispers to creepy vocal tones to things. I've never done this shit before, but it was so fun. And then some melodic, almost operatic stuff. It was fun to explore in that world and play with my voice in ways I've never done before. And so there's some moments in the score where you can clearly hear it's me. And then there's some moments where you probably would have no idea. It's just like voices.
Yeah, I was trying to hear you, and it was crazy. It was like this huge, like vocal parts and everything like that. Do you want to was that really fun for you? Do you want to like continue down that route of doing that kind of work?
I think I just love the combination of music and film, because I always say that a film is kind of the ultimate art form, because you're combining so many different types of art, from cinematography to acting to music to screenplay writing. It's like all these different artists working on the same project coming together to tell a story and create an emotion. And so I've always been really interested in that world and working in that world. But as I said before, I'm not really a confident producer. So me scoring a film myself is not something that I think, at least right now in my life, I'm capable or have any desire to do. But working with composers in the way that I did on this one, and then also when I did Aquaman, I did the end title for Aquaman. I worked with the score composer, and we did, he used some of that melody throughout the score on that. So we got to work kind of hand in hand on that too. And that was really fun.
Yeah, you've done, this is reminding me of like how many things you've done for TV and film. What has been like one of your favorite projects you got to work on?
For film and TV? Oh, man. What have I done? Can you remind me? Besides, I did like Fast and Furious songs. I did, Gangsta for Kalani for Suicide Squad. That's one of my favorite songs I've done for film. Although I was bummed that they took me off the song. Because I actually told them hey, keep my voice on the song. If it's going in the movie, like, you're keeping me on it. And they said yes. And then, like, 2 weeks before the movie came out, I found out that Kalani cut it. And I love Kalani, but the people that just behind the scenes were pushing things around, I was very angry about that. Because they promised me.
Didn't you get another song for that movie as well, though? I forgot what it was called.
Yeah, so then that's part of the reason that I had another song on the soundtrack.
Got it.
Because they were like, I know we fucked up. So do you want to put a different song on the soundtrack? And at the time, that was the other song I had written for the film. So I was like, yeah, just throw it on the soundtrack. But I didn't, I liked Gangsta better. I wanted to sing that one.
It seems like it's happened quite a bit of times then. Is there, I mean, I guess one of the questions I have then is, you said earlier that you never got into this to write songs for others. Have you developed an appreciation for it now, though? Like,
I have no problem giving my songs to other people if I don't want to cut it myself, you know? But that's an example of a song I did want to cut myself. And then, yeah, I didn't get to. I don't set out to write songs for people anymore. There was a period of time
besides Celine.
Well, besides Celine, but that was still a while ago.
True.
At this
like
point,
4 or 5 years ago.
It's been like a few years, and
Yeah.
I've completely stopped trying to write songs for other people. I have no desire.
Do people still want them?
Yeah. People still want them. I got a text yesterday from somebody asking for a song for a Chinese pop star. I was
Wow.
like, no. I don't want to write songs for other people. I don't enjoy it. It's not because I'm like, to me, it's just a matter of life's too short to spend my time doing anything I don't want to do. And for me, music, at least when I'm writing for myself, is very therapeutic and necessary for me. It's like I get true emotions out when I write a song. Like Temporary is a good example of that. In the moment of being in tears, I wrote that chorus, right?
Yeah.
So I'm very real when I'm in there, and to think like I have to write a song for somebody else to sing, it just takes all of that emotion and authenticity out of it for me. It just becomes like a job versus making art. And I don't enjoy that process.
Is your process different when you're making a song for you now then, or is it pretty much the same thing? Like
when I'm making a song for me
as an artist,
it's always been the same. I just
what does that
write what I
process
feel.
look like?
I mean, it can be that I start with a lyric and I'm obsessed with a lyric and I want to make, put some music around it. Or, I mean, the best is when the music, the melody and lyric comes at the same time. But I do collect notes. I collect a lot of like voice notes of melodies and chords, and then also lyric ideas. And even the fact that I wrote it down or recorded it, sometimes that makes it like stay in my psyche and it's like accessible, and then it'll feel like I'm channeling something and doing something kind of effortlessly, but I'm using something that I've written down before or whatever, but it's like flowing to me in that moment. But yeah, I have no rules with my process. I like to keep all my options open. A lot of times I will wake up from a dream and the song was in my dream, and I'll roll over in bed and I'll pick up my phone and I'll put my voice note of the song there before it disappears.
That's crazy.
So that happens a lot. And then sometimes I'll just be like in the shower or walking around the kitchen or cooking or whatever, and I'll have a song playing in my head that's not a real song. Like it doesn't exist in the world, but I'm creating it subconsciously. And then I record it later.
I think it was even like Paul McCartney who said that. I can't remember the actual song, but it was Scrambled Eggs.
Yeah.
It was originally like the dream of that song. Do you have any examples of songs that came from dreams specifically?
That are out in the world?
Yeah.
I don't think any that are out in the world. It's kind of a recent thing that started happening
That's
to
crazy.
me. Yeah.
Do they like play like as you singing them in the dream, or do you hear it?
Sometimes, or sometimes it's somebody else singing it, but it's not a real song. Like it's just made up in my dream.
Do you remember it that well? That you can, like-
Sometimes.
that's cool.
Sometimes I really remember it, and then sometimes I'm like, God, that was so good, but it's like right there. I can't quite reach it, you know? You know how dreams are.
Yeah. How do you organize all your songwriting? Like with notes and like voice notes?
Yeah, notes, voice notes, Pro Tools sessions. I usually try to, as soon as something's got promise, I try to put it into Pro Tools right away. Because that's where I keep most of my like folders organized the best.
Are you producing all your own songs now?
I don't want to finish the production, but I'm starting all the production. Yeah.
You usually start with piano,
Or guitar.
guitar.
Or bass. I just bought a bass, so I've been playing with that.
How's that been?
It's fun. I love it.
Slap?
I don't slap at a bass, no. That's not my style. I like long tones, long, low tones.
I love it. You know, Skylar, when I started this series, my main goal was to shine a light on the people and stories behind music, movies, and media. And one of the people I really wanted to talk to was you specifically. So
Oh, thank you.
in that sort of venture of this series and who I've been talking to, another thing that's really important to me is to inspire every underdog to go for it. And hearing your story about going from being 19, singing this song, Where'd You Go? And then, you know, ending up in a cabin in the woods with nothing and writing a song that kind of changed everything. But then having that happen multiple times and you continuously doing it, I feel like you are one of the best people to talk to for this series. So I guess my question is, if someone right now is going through a difficult time in their creative journey, what is a piece of advice you have on how to get through it, or what they can do, or for those people who are struggling right now?
Know that even the most successful people in the industry are still struggling all the time on a creative level. Like, I guess there's a lot of people out there who would probably kill to have the success I've had, but I don't feel successful at all. You know, I feel like I have like imposter syndrome or something, but I feel like I'm always not hitting the mark with my work. I mean, I think that's also partially what drives us as artists, to keep one-upping ourselves. But if you see me as successful, then know that I am struggling all the time. And that's okay. It's okay to go through those dark moments. Everybody does. Like, all creatives do. And as long as you keep sticking with it and keep trying, you'll get through each of those hard moments.
I guess to build off of that real quick, you said you don't consider yourself successful. I like understand like where you're coming from with that, but in terms of when you look at someone and you see success, what does success look like to you versus like what you have then? I guess that's...
I think where I feel unsuccessful is that I never set out to write songs for other people and be a songwriter and be known as a songwriter. I always wanted to be an artist. But I feel like my songwriting is where I've had the most success. And I struggle to reach that same level with just my own artistry. And that's like a big mountain I'm trying to climb. You know, I love to play shows. I love to be on stage and communicate with my fans that way in person. But I just, when I'm on stage with Eminem and there's 100,000 people there, it's fucking amazing. And if I booked a show for myself right now, like, I don't know how many people would show up, to be quite honest with you. And so there's like a fear built in there, like where I'm like, I think it's all fear-based, actually. Yeah. I feel like I'm a little bit paralyzed with fear about releasing new music, about going on tour, because I've seen how it can be. Like, I've played to a lot of half-empty rooms, and it fucking sucks. I've lost a lot of money on touring. And so I guess what success looks like to me for what I want to do and that I haven't done yet is like, I want to have my own solo songs be at the top of my Spotify page, and I want to play tours where the rooms are full, and I just feel like I've been a part of that almost like from the side so much, but not with my own art that I've made for myself. And so that's like my main goal right now, is to figure out how to do that.
Do you have a plan on what you're going to do for that?
Well, music always leads the way, I feel like, with everything. And so right now my plan is to write songs that are writer's block, and gather a body of work that I feel really, really confident about and take it from there. I can't put the cart before the horse and start booking a tour without that, you know?
Makes sense. Well, when that happens, we'll all be listening. At least I will be. I'm sure many, many people out there. When it comes to, you know, success and everything like this, I'm very happy to have you on talking about songwriting. I know how important artistry, your own music is. What is something that you want to promote to anyone out there they should listen to?
Right now?
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't put out a solo song in so long. So the most recent things I've put out, I actually really love and I'm really proud of. Temporary with Eminem and Past Yesterday with Jelly Roll. Those both feel really authentic for me, even though they're collaborations. Those choruses definitely feel like me. I'm writing from very pure emotion in those.
Incredible. Well, amazing. Skylar, it's been such an honor to chat with you.
Thank you for having me.
And everyone go check out all of Skylar's music and definitely check out those recent collabs. Thank you so much for watching Behind the Wall. Anything you want to say? Anything else, Skylar?
No, just stay tuned for when I drop some solo music, please.
That'll be exciting. Amazing.